Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, the Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we'll be talking about Polish tech tree tank destroyers. A couple months ago, I made the prediction that the Polish tank destroyers were going to be the next line coming into the game, and it seems I was correct, as just a few weeks ago, Wargaming has fully announced that Polish tank destroyers will be coming into the game, and sooner than you think, probably within the next few months. Now, this is actually really exciting. I've been waiting for this type of vehicle to be introduced into the game. I still really hope at some point we get the Object 705 and the ST2, but this is a tank that I am very, very excited for multiple reasons. First of all, it's a very heavily armored tank. We can see here the frontal protection of the vehicle. It's got over 380 to 300 millimeters of upper hull armor, and when using the 7 degrees of gun depression, I mean, at weakest, it's over 300. I mean, this thing has really good armor. And obviously, this is the PC model, but we can assume that in Blitz, this thing is going to feature similar levels of frontal protection, probably close to that of a Foch or 113 GFT. It's going to get a lot of bounces, and it's going to be able to do a really, really good job at getting the job done. But the most interesting part about the way PC balanced this vehicle is the gun. You see, this tank has a variable damage dealing mechanic where the further you are away from the enemy, the less damage you deal. The closer you are to the enemy, the more damage you deal. This is a mechanic that I was actually really hoping comes into Blitz because it's really cool. This is a frontline tank destroyer, and a lot of people you see camping in these frontline tank destroyers. I think the best example is the T110E3, the Minotauro. How many times do you guys see a minnow camping in spawn? We all the time see it, and it's one of the most cringe things ever. This tank will punish you for camping in spawn, and I was really hoping that Wargaming was going to follow that characteristic into Blitz. Well, guess what? 12 days ago, Wargaming posted a news article on the results of the Ultra Test 2. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, they have a little tab called Ongoing Developments. And we can see right here, late summer to early autumn, a new line of Polish tank destroyers featuring unique combat mechanics. These sturdy mechanics deal more damage up close than from a distance, encouraging bold moves and aggressive tactics. We're also getting Swedish tank crew voices, which is actually really, really nice. But yes, the exact same mechanic that is in World of Tanks PC is coming to Blitz. And I'm actually really excited about this, and I applaud Wargaming for following suit when it comes to this idea, because this is something that I've really, really wanted. Now, this gameplay here is actually from my World of Tanks PC channel. I don't post on it anymore. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a press account when it comes to PC as it ran out. But at some point, if I ever do post more World of Tanks PC content, it will be on this channel. And this here is the gameplay that I had when the Bliskawica, the Tier 10, was first released into the game. Now, before we talk about the Tier 10 and its capabilities, let's start off at the Tier 8, which is the STP-58 Kilana. This tank is, well, pretty insane on World of Tanks PC, with 700 damage per shot, crazy good frontal protection, and in general, just one of the wildest armor profiles. So I'm really interested to see how Wargaming ends up balancing this Tier 8. We have the Tier 9 SDPWZ Gonkawica, which we don't have the best photo of it here, but it's kind of a similar design to that of an SU-122-54, but it's, well, heavily armored, and again, featuring that same mechanic. We have the Tier 5 SDP-40 Zadminka. It's kind of goofy looking. It doesn't really have much armor either. This is kind of just an average Tier 5. We have the Tier 6 SDP-44 Berza. It looks alright, kind of goofy. These vehicles are not the prettiest, but they are fun. Then we have the Tier 7. This is the first one that actually has some armor. This is the Gowica. It's kind of ugly again. I mean, look at it. It looks like a turd, but it does have really good armor, and it's where the line kind of starts taking shape, just like the Minnow, where the Tier 7 is the first one that actually plays like it has really good armor. And then we have the Tier 10, the Bliskawica, which is a super, super cool and interesting vehicle. You'll also notice if we take a look at the gun barrel here, it has that same star-shaped barrel that the vehicles on PC do, so I'm assuming that this tank is going to feature incredible levels of shell velocity, which wouldn't be too surprising at all. So let's go back a little bit here so that we can take a look at the damage on this vehicle. On World of Tanks PC, this tank has 700 to 800 damage when you are at close distance, and we can see that right here. I'm within 100 meters of that Object 277, which I just shot, so I was able to rip off 717 of that player's hit points. Here's the crazy thing about this vehicle is the damage per minute. The way that Wargaming decided to balance this tank on PC is that it has crazy good DPM. Look at that 800 damage roll into that VZ55. But yeah, on PC, Wargaming balanced this tank in a way that it has really good damage per minute. So if you're running this thing properly equipped, you can be sitting upwards of maybe 4,200 to 4,900 DPM. Now, I'm not expecting it to be that high in Blitz, but I can assume that this tank might have about 4,000 damage per minute when you are at the closest level to your opponents, and then the further you are away, obviously you're dealing less damage, so you're going to have less effective DPM. Now, some people might think this is OP, and I might have to agree. We'll have to see. 719 into that T-57 Heavy. I very firmly believe that this tank in PC is incredibly overpowered. But what's funny is because a lot of the World of Tanks PC players are wimps and they love to camp, well, this tank really never gets played much. I mean, you can see it spammed in these games here, but that's because it was just released. It's actually a very, very unpopular vehicle when it comes to the game. And the simple reason of the fact is because a lot of people don't like to play aggressive in tank destroyers on PC. They like to camp, they like to stay as far back as possible. And this is literally the complete opposite playstyle of that, right? This is a vehicle that you want to play aggressive in. You want to punish the enemy, and you want to be as frontline as possible. So because of that, it's a completely different playstyle when you actually think about it. Now we get a super juicy 814 into that enemy Bliskavica. Unfortunately, we do get cleared, but you can still see 3,744 damage in that very short period of time. Now, this game, the armor didn't work all too well, and that's because its track wheels are pretty weak, and obviously the lower plate is super easy to take advantage of. So let's take a look here at one more battle, and see how this one goes. Let me skip ahead a little bit until we start getting into the battles. But yeah, we'll see how it works. Now, I remember this game. This was a really good game, and it super easily showcases where this tank is kind of a beast. If you can hide that lower plate, just like the 113 GFT we have in our version of Blitz, and you wedge the armor up a little bit, and you're within, 100 meters of your opponents, you're going to be just ripping out these shells. So, what do I think this vehicle is going to be balanced like in our version of the game? Because that's what a lot of people probably want to know. Well, I'm going to assume that it's going to feature maybe 650 damage per shot. That's going to be my guess. 650 when you're close, and then when you're far away, it goes down to probably 300. I can't imagine Wargaming is going to give this vehicle 700 damage per shot or something along those lines. But look at the DPM here. 2 shots, it's already 1,400 damage dealt. And as you can see, because I'm using the gun depression and I'm hiding my lower plate on this ridge line here, the enemy really can't do anything. And because I have over 4,000 DPM, I'm just ripping out shell after shell after shell, already up to 2,100 damage dealt in this game. Again, I'm just going to sit haul down here, aiming on the IS-4. Let's see if we can get a pen into his upper plate. Boom! 701, almost 3,000 damage now at this point, and it's been less than a minute of shooting. So we're going to back up one more time, aiming on the side of the IS-4 turret. Boom! 744 damage, 3,600 dealt at this point. I mean, think about how quickly I just ripped out damage in this game. That is an insane amount of damage for just such a short battle. And you'll notice the shell velocity on this tank is insane. It actually has the highest shell velocity for a tier 10 in World of Tanks PC, and we can assume that this vehicle is going to have similar shell velocity values in Blitz as well. 931 damaging shell into that 60 TP. As I said, when this vehicle is in close range on PC, it has 800 average damage, which is wild. And it really does allow you to just get out these ridiculous rolls. So we're going to aim it on the 4005, and let's see if we can pen him. It's an overmatch right now, but we'll just aim it on the side of the 60. There you go, 776 damage into his vehicle. And there you go, that's a great example. if you notice, I'm going to rewind here. See that shot I just received for 289 damage? That is also from a Bliskavica, which is the exact same tank I'm driving. But that player using this tank is camping all the way in the red line in the trees back there. And because of that, they've taken what is an 800 damage gun, and over distance, that damage has gone down to 300, not even 289. And it's a fantastic example of the fact that this is not a tank that you're ever going to want to play passive in. This is going to be a fully fledged aggressive frontline tank. And if you're able to play it properly, I mean, I'm already at 5,300 damage in this game, and I'm obviously not even done. I'm trying to get out more damage if I can. So let's see. Of course, my team is kind of blocking me there, and my Bliskavica just went into the spot I kind of wanted to go to, so I can't hit that, but we do have the enemy tank over here. So let's see how the damage per shot maybe gets affected from this vehicle. Let's move up. Let's see if we can aim it on the enemy Bliskavica. Aiming, 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 and fire. Alright, well, we'll have to see if that actually ends up penetrating that player. 5,300 damage, though. Still not bad. I mean, even if we don't get any more at this point, it's still a pretty solid result. But even if we did pen that player, at this distance, that roll is probably only going to be sitting at around 300, maybe 350 if I'm lucky, which is about the same damage per shot as the average medium tank. So we got the 114 SP2 in the back, and you can see I don't want to play too aggressive here because I'm not very healthy, but let's aim it on this enemy Bliskavica. Here we go, and unfortunately, that player just got cleared super fast. You'll notice the armor on this tank is good, but it's nothing crazy. But you will also see that the accuracy is nothing amazing. So either way, at this point, obviously the game is over. Oh, wait, I do get one shot into the 114, though. So we can see here, right? I don't know exactly how far away this is, because I don't have the rangefinder on. But there you go, 276 meters. So at 270 meters, my damage is 478. So you do lose a lot of damage over distance, but 5,800 damage game, a really, really solid result. And you'll notice that I equipped the vehicle for DPM in that game instead of accuracy, so we had 4,960 effective DPM. So when it comes to our version of Blitz, right, World of Tanks, Blitz, I'm going to assume that the vehicle's probably sitting around 650 to maybe 700 damage per shot. And the further you are, just like Wargaming stated, it's going to deal less damage, probably down to 300 at the minimum. And what's going to happen is it's going to have really good DPM at close range, maybe over 4,000, and the further you are away, the less DPM you're going to have. I'm really interested to see how Wargaming balances this, because if they balance it improperly, it's going to obviously dominate and ruin the matchmaker, but if they also balance it in a way that it sucks, then nobody's going to want to play it. So they have a lot of potential here to do this right, and they already have the PC frame to work on. If I were to balance this vehicle, I would give it 700 damage max, and then I would bring it down to 300, and it would drop off about maybe 100 damage per 50 meters. So if you're 50 meters away, it goes down to 600 damage. If you're 100 meters away, it goes down to 500 damage. If you're 150 meters away, it goes down to 450. I think that would be a good way to scale the damage. And then what I would do is I would make the armor good, but not as good as the 113 GFT. The 113 GFT's armor is simply too strong. I would make it about maybe 340 mil. I would probably do similar armor to the Foch. I think that would be a good way to balance it. Similar to the Foch and the Badger. So if you're using gun depression, it's very hard for people to cut through you, but on flat ground, most premium shells will be able to overmatch your superstructure. I think that's the best way to do it. And then I think DPM-wise, this vehicle should have 4,000 at max when you are as close as possible. And then obviously the further you are away, the less DPM you have. To counteract the really good DPM, I would give its accuracy pretty mediocre value, similar to that of an Object 263, and then I would also give it pretty mediocre premium pen, maybe about 330 millimeters gold APCR. That way, you sacrifice pen, and you sacrifice accuracy for the crazy good DPM and solid armor that you feature. And I'd keep it with 7 degrees of gun depression, just like it has on PC. Mobility-wise, I'd allow it to achieve a top speed of 45 kilometers per hour and a reverse of 16. I think that would be a good way to balance it. And then a decent power-to-weight ratio. Similar mobility to the Foch without super speed boost. This way, you're quick enough to get into the front line and actually do the role of this vehicle. That's how I would balance it. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!